I didn't plan on staying long. Just a few boxes, that's all she said. But when she opened the door, barefoot, hair loosely tied, sleeves rolled up, something about her stopped me mid-step. Not beauty, exactly. More like gravity. The kind that makes you forget what your hands were supposed to be doing. Thanks for coming, she said, stepping aside. I didn't realize how much I've kept. Her laugh was small, self-aware, the kind people use when they've been alone too long. I followed her in, shoes squeaking slightly against the floor. The living room was half empty, half alive, cardboard towers, a tilted lamp, soft jazz still humming from a forgotten speaker. She bent to lift a box, and I reacted before I thought. Let me. She looked up, close enough for me to see the faint lines at the corners of her eyes. You sure? Yeah, I said. My voice came out steadier than I felt. For the next half hour, it was just the sound of things shifting, boxes sliding, tape peeling, a drawer closing too hard. Every now and then she'd say something about where things used to go, or what she should have thrown out years ago. And I'd nod, pretending I understood, even though what I really noticed was the way she kept brushing hair from her face, or how her shirt slipped off her shoulder when she reached too high. At one point, she stopped to catch her breath. You're quiet, she said. I talk too much when I'm nervous, I admitted. Her lips curved, not teasing, just soft. So you're nervous now? I didn't answer. The silence filled the space between us, warm and uncertain. She handed me another box, her fingers grazing mine. That tiny touch, brief, accidental, made me forget what we were moving. We carried the last box into her bedroom. The curtains were half drawn, the light dim and amber. She paused at the doorway, leaning against it, arms folded. You can put it by the dresser, she said. I set it down and turned, trying not to look at the unmade bed behind her. The air felt thicker in here. Dust motes drifted through the light like slow sparks. When she stepped closer, I caught the faint scent of her perfume, something subtle, familiar, like the memory of rain. She was close enough that I could hear the shift of her breathing. Thank you, she said, voice lower now. You didn't have to. It's nothing. Her eyes stayed on mine for a moment too long. Most people don't mean that when they say it. I didn't know what to do with that. My throat felt dry, my palms restless. I glanced toward the window, but she didn't move, and neither did I. Then, softer, do you want something to drink? Water, maybe? I nodded, following her back to the kitchen. She poured 2 glasses, the sound of water filling the quiet. When she handed mine over, our fingers brushed again. Neither of us pulled away this time. She looked up, meeting my gaze, searching, maybe daring me to look back. You should stay a bit, she said. Just to make sure I don't throw my back out. It was meant as a joke, but her tone didn't quite land there. Something else hid beneath it, something unsteady, half inviting. I tried to answer, but before I could, there was a sharp knock at her door. Her body stiffened. The glass in her hand trembled slightly, a ripple catching the light. She glanced at me, eyes suddenly uncertain. Don't say anything, she whispered. And then she turned toward the door. The knock at the door lasted too long. 3, maybe 4 seconds, enough to pull the air out of the room. She didn't open it. Just waited until whoever it was gave up and left. The silence that followed felt even louder. When she turned back to me, her smile was faint, like something stitched together too quickly. Sorry. Ex-husband. Probably forgot something again. She said it like it didn't matter, but her hands betrayed her, rubbing her wrist, avoiding my eyes. I wanted to ask, but the way she moved to the sink told me not to. I should go, I said, half meaning it. You could, she answered, rinsing her glass. But you won't. She was right. I stayed. Sat on the edge of the counter while she wiped a clean spot that didn't need wiping. You've lived here long. I asked. 7 years, she said. Moved after the divorce. I thought the quiet would help. Her voice softened on that last word, help, like she'd stopped believing it somewhere along the way. I nodded, pretending not to notice the way her shoulder brushed mine when she reached for the towel. Her skin was warm, faint scent of soap and citrus. Every accidental touch started to feel less accidental. She turned, leaning against the counter beside me. What about you? College? Dropped out last year. Work at the hardware store now. Fix things. That suits you, she said. You seem like someone who likes to make things right. I wasn't sure if she meant the boxes, or something else. For a moment, neither of us said anything. The jazz still played, low and patient, as if waiting for us to catch up. Then she spoke again, barely above a whisper. You remind me of someone I used to know. Before everything got complicated. Her gaze drifted toward the window, unfocused. I caught the faint tremor in her fingers where they rested on the counter. Without thinking, I placed my hand over hers, just enough to still them. She didn't pull away. Complicated how? I asked. She smiled, a slow, tired curve. I fell in love with the wrong kind of young. That made me look away. Not because I was embarrassed, but because I suddenly understood the risk she kept circling around. I started. Don't, she said softly. Just, stay a minute. Her hand turned under mine, fingers brushing my palm, slow and deliberate. The air between us thickened, not with words, but with everything neither of us was ready to name. Her eyes lifted to mine, searching, then faltered. You make it hard to remember what I'm supposed to avoid. I swallowed, heart stuttering. Maybe you don't have to. The moment stretched, fragile, suspended, until she laughed quietly, breaking it. Not to mock, but to save us from it. God, she said, shaking her head. Your trouble. And still, she didn't let go of my hand. The next afternoon, I saw her again. She was in the driveway, bent over an open trunk, hair falling forward as she tried to lift something heavier than she should. I called out before thinking, you're doing it wrong. She turned, startled, then smiled that same guarded smile. And you'd know the right way? Maybe. I took the box from her before she could argue. Inside were photo frames, wrapped in old newspaper. One corner was torn open. I caught a glimpse of her and a man, younger, clean-shaven, arms around her. The kind of photo you keep even when you shouldn't. She noticed me looking and reached for it. Our hands brushed again. That was years ago, she said quietly. I didn't ask. Didn't need to. The way her voice dipped told the whole story. Inside, the house smelled of dust and something cooking, tomato, garlic, wine. I was making dinner, she said. Stay, if you're not busy. I wasn't. Or maybe I just didn't want to be anywhere else. The evening settled slow, light fading through the blinds. She poured 2 glasses of red wine, her fingers trembling just enough to make a drop spill onto the counter. She wiped it with her sleeve, muttering, always a mess lately. It's fine, I said. Her laugh came soft. You always say that. Because it's true. Maybe you just don't see what's broken. Her tone landed heavier than she meant it to. She looked away, and for a long second, all I heard was the faint clinking of silverware. Then her phone buzzed. A name lit up on the screen, Lena. She silenced it immediately, but I caught the flicker of panic in her eyes. Friend, she said quickly. She worries. Thinks I shouldn't spend so much time alone. She hesitated before setting the phone down, face down this time. Or maybe she'd think I shouldn't be spending time with you. That last word, you, came out quieter, almost an exhale. I tried to joke. Because I'm the kid next door. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Because I should know better. The word sat between us like something fragile. I could hear her breathing, steady, but careful. She leaned against the counter, and I stepped closer, unsure why or how far I should go. Her shoulder brushed my chest. Neither of us moved. "You don't have to be afraid of what it looks like," I said. She tilted her head up, eyes catching mine, brown and uncertain. "I'm not afraid of that," she whispered. "I'm afraid of how easy it feels." Her hand lifted, almost touching my face, then stopped. Inches apart. For a second, everything else disappeared, the phone, the dinner, the world outside her quiet house. Just the pulse between us, too loud to ignore. Then a sharp knock at the front door shattered it. We froze. She inhaled sharply, stepping back, almost guilty. Through the window, I saw Lena's car in the driveway. She turned to me, whispering, "Go. Now." I hesitated, her breath still warm on my skin, but she pressed a trembling hand to my chest and pushed gently. "Please," she said. "Before she sees." I slipped out the side door, heart hammering, leaving her standing in the doorway's half-light, torn between what she wanted and what she couldn't allow. It was raining when I went back. Not on purpose, or maybe exactly on purpose. I told myself I was checking if she needed help covering her car, but I knew what I was really doing. Her lights were on, soft and golden against the wet night. Through the window, I saw her pacing, phone in hand, barefoot, restless. Then she noticed me. She opened the door before I could knock. "You shouldn't be here," she said. But she didn't sound angry. Just tired, like someone who'd run out of reasons. "You didn't answer my texts," I said. I didn't know what to say. The rain hissed behind me, a quiet wall of sound. She stepped aside, and I came in. The house smelled faintly of wine and storm air. Her hair was damp, sticking to her neck. I couldn't look away. "You could have just said you didn't want to see me," I said. Her eyes flicked to mine. "If I didn't want to, you wouldn't be standing here." That shut me up. She turned toward the counter, grabbing a towel, pretending to dry nothing. "Lena thinks I'm losing it," she said. "She thinks you're, what? A distraction I can't afford." Her voice cracked on the last word. I stepped closer, slowly, until I was right behind her. The air between us trembled. "Am I?" I asked. She didn't move. "You make me remember what it felt like to be seen." Her shoulders rose, fell. I reached out, brushed a strand of hair from her face, and she let me. My hand lingered, too long, too close. "I can't stop thinking about you," I said, the words quiet but heavy. She turned, suddenly, eyes sharp, wet, alive. "You think I can?" There it was, the breaking point. Her restraint splintered, mine burned away. She stepped forward, fingers curling into my shirt, pulling me closer until I could feel her breath on my neck. "This is wrong," she whispered, but her voice trembled like she didn't believe it. "Then stop." "I can't." Her lips hovered near mine, not touching, but close enough that every breath felt like a confession. Lightning flashed through the window, lighting the room for half a second, her face inches from mine, eyes half closed, unsure whether to lean in or pull back. Then came the sound, a chime. Her phone, buzzing again on the counter. Neither of us moved. The name Lena glowed on the screen. She let out a shaky breath, lowering her head against my chest. I felt her laugh once, small, broken. "This is going to hurt," she said. I lifted her chin with my hand, thumb brushing her jaw. "Maybe it's worth it." The phone stopped buzzing. Silence pressed in. She looked at me, eyes shining, lips parted, caught between wanting and warning. Then she whispered, almost against my mouth, "Tell me to stop." She didn't stop. Not right away. Her eyes searched mine, waiting for something, permission, maybe. Or a reason to turn back. I didn't give either. Then the phone buzzed again. Longer this time. She stepped away, shoulders tight, grabbed it, and walked into the next room. I stayed where I was, pulse still pounding, trying to breathe normally. Through the half-open door, her voice, quiet, clipped. "No, Lena. I told you, it's fine. He's just a neighbor. He was helping." Pause. "I'm not doing that again." Again. The word hit like a spark. I shouldn't have listened, but I couldn't stop. She ended the call, came back in, her face carefully blank. "Sorry about that. I wanted to ask, what did you mean again?" But the question stuck in my throat. She noticed. "What?" she asked, crossing her arms, defensive, but trembling just a little. "You said you're not doing that again," I said. "What did you mean?" Her gaze faltered, just for a second. "It doesn't matter." "It does." She turned away, exhaling hard. "You don't need to know everything." "I'm already here," I said quietly. "You made sure of that." That stopped her. Her head tilted, eyes glinting with something between anger and fear. "You think I planned this? You think I wanted to?" She cut herself off, pressing a hand to her forehead. The silence that followed was louder than shouting. Then she said it. Softly. "There was someone else. Years ago. Younger. Like you." The words hung there, raw and heavy. "He was kind. Curious. Made me feel, seen again." She swallowed, looking anywhere but at me. "And I ruined him. I thought I could control it, the way it started, the way it ended. But people don't recover from being someone's secret." I felt the air shift, attraction and doubt twisting together. "You think that's what I am?" I asked. She finally met my eyes. "If you stay, you will be." The rain outside had stopped, but everything inside felt wetter, heavier. My hands were clenched at my sides, her confession still echoing. "I'm not him," I said. Her voice trembled. "No. But I'm still me." She stepped past me, close enough that her shoulder brushed mine, just enough to burn. The scent of her hair, the faint tremor of her breath, everything in me screaming to close that space again. Instead, she whispered, "You should go." "I don't want to." "Then don't make me want you more." The line cut straight through both of us. I reached for her hand, just caught her fingers, but she pulled away before our palms met. For a moment, I saw the fight leave her face, replaced by something fragile, almost pleading. "Tomorrow," she said, voice barely holding. "If you come back tomorrow, then I won't stop you." Her words lingered between us like a dare, or a promise neither of us was ready to keep. The next evening, I didn't even pretend I wasn't coming back. I stood at her door, hands cold, pulse loud in my ears. The porch light flickered like it couldn't decide whether to stay on. When she opened the door, she didn't look surprised, just tired, like she'd been waiting all day for the decision I'd just made. "You came," she said quietly. "You told me to." She smiled at that, a small, resigned curve of her lips. "I told you I wouldn't stop you." "That's not the same." I stepped inside anyway. The house was dim again, shadows stretching across the floor. A record played softly, something slow, old, the kind of music meant for two people standing too close. For a while, we didn't say anything. Just the sound of rain starting again, and the record scratching faintly. She turned toward me, fingers brushing her sleeve nervously. "I thought about you," she said. I wanted to ask how much, but the look in her eyes already answered. "I shouldn't have," she went on. "I told myself I'd ruined enough lives trying to feel young again. But when you left last night, the house," she trailed off, pressing her palm to her chest. "It felt like everything went quiet again. I took a step closer, then another. She didn't move. When I reached her, I lifted my hand, slow, hesitant, and touched her face. Her breath caught. "You don't have to be anyone else," I said. "Not for me." Her eyes closed, and she leaned slightly into my palm, not surrender, exactly, but something close. Her voice came out barely above a whisper. "You make it sound easy. It isn't." Her hand rose to my wrist, holding it there. "Then why does it feel like it could be?" For a second, everything stilled, the rain, the music, even breathing. Her forehead rested against mine. "If we do this," she said, voice trembling, "it doesn't fix anything." "I'm not trying to fix you," I said. "I just don't want to walk away pretending this isn't real." Her eyes opened, close enough that I could see the tiny flecks of green in them. "It's real," she whispered. "That's the problem." Her lips brushed mine, once, barely there, and then she pulled back, shaking her head. "God, I can't." But her hands didn't let go. They stayed at my chest, gripping the fabric, holding on as if pulling back would hurt more than staying close. "You don't have to," I said. We stood there, both breathing unevenly, both already knowing what came next, even if neither of us said it out loud. She looked at me, eyes wet, and whispered, "Then stay." And I did. Not because it was right. Not because it was simple. But because in that moment, with her heartbeat pressed against mine, it was finally honest. Morning crept in quietly, soft light spilling across her living room, catching the edges of unpacked boxes and half-finished memories. The rain had stopped sometime in the night. She sat beside me on the couch, knees pulled up, hair still a little tangled from sleep. I watched her in that calm, suspended way you watch something fragile, afraid to blink and lose it. Neither of us spoke for a while. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the steady rhythm of her breathing. Finally, she said, "You stayed. I told you I would." She smiled, the small, tired kind that comes after too many storms. "I didn't think you meant it." "I did." Her fingers traced the rim of her coffee mug, slow and absent. "It's strange," she said. "I thought I'd wake up regretting it. But I don't." Her voice carried a kind of wonder that made my chest tighten. "I don't either," I said. She glanced at me then, eyes searching for something, maybe guilt, maybe confusion. When she didn't find it, she leaned back, exhaling softly. "People will talk. Let them." She laughed under her breath. "You say that like it's easy." "It's not," I said. "But it's real. And I'm tired of pretending I don't want what's right in front of me." For a moment, she looked away, chewing the inside of her lip. Then she reached over, her hand finding mine, fingers weaving together, uncertain but steady. Her thumb brushed over my knuckles. "You have no idea how long it's been since someone held my hand like this," she whispered. "Then maybe I'll make up for lost time." She turned toward me, close enough that I could see the tiny flecks of gold in her eyes. I lifted my hand, brushed a strand of hair from her face, and pressed my forehead against hers. No grand declarations. No promises we couldn't keep. Just a quiet stillness that felt like truth. She whispered, "You remind me that I'm still allowed to feel alive." I smiled, voice low. "You always were." We stayed like that, the world narrowing to the soft space between us. Her head rested on my shoulder, my arm around her. Outside, sunlight filtered through the blinds, drawing faint lines across her skin. The clock ticked. The coffee cooled. But neither of us moved. Whatever came next, judgment, distance, reality, could wait. For now, she was here. And I was still holding her hand. When she finally spoke again, it was almost a whisper. "Maybe we don't have to explain this to anyone." "Maybe we don't," I said. And for the first time since I'd carried those boxes through her door, it felt like something had finally settled, not perfect, not safe, but honest. She smiled against my shoulder. Guess you really did end up staying for more. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next?